It's coming around. Yep. Can I have your attention, please? Can I have your attention, please? Can you guys hear me? Thank you. So we still got a couple of minutes. I'll give you like 3 or 4 more minutes, but I wanted to let everybody know the attendance sheets have started in the back and they're coming forward. Some of you have already signed it, that's great, but if you haven't, please sign the attendance sheet. Also, if you're a new member and you haven't read the Constitution and the bylaws and you would like to do that, there's a copy in the back at the table where Rob and Jane are sitting, and you can peruse it there. When you get done, there's a signature sheet there as well. So we'll start in a few minutes, so thanks. There's a test. I hope you pass it because I have to go back and reread them all the time. So. Okay, if we can, we will get started with our meeting today. Where's my whistle? If we could get started, that'd be great. So I'll call the February congregation meeting to order, and we'll open with prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings you continue to bestow on your congregation here at Messiah. We are truly grateful. Please be with us and guide us today as we perform the business of the congregation. Please be with those in need and continue to lead us in our efforts and your efforts through us to raise them up and support them as you have called us to do. In your holy name we pray. Amen. All right, so we put out about 6 copies of the paperwork for today at each table. In those stacks are the minutes. So if you would take a few minutes and read through the minutes from the last congregational meeting, and then we'll have a vote to approve those. Yes, if it's at the front table, it's been there. Have you guys? Is there an attendance sheet coming up on this side over here someplace? There, Mark. You guys have a pen. I have a motion to accept the minutes as written. Is there a second? Second. All right, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. The minutes from the last congregation meeting are accepted as written. So the next person up would be the financial secretary. So Jane, if you could, please. That's turned on for you. Tall, isn't it?
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the meeting. Glad you're here today. You have my one-page report here from, basically it just covers January, and our giving was down just a little bit in January, and seems to be starting to pick up in February, so that's good. So keep giving when you can, and also want to thank Dave Weichel and Bruce for joining our team this past few months. We always will happily accept anybody who wants to help with accounting. So any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, great. Thanks, Jane. And that leads us to our treasurer's report. Wynn?
I say ditto to Jane's comments about the counters. They do just such a wonderful and important job. They hold up in the church office after church, and a lot of times miss their cookies and coffee and so forth in order to do the job. And I, of course, thank Jane for her leadership in that regard. You will see a one-pager that I've provided for the treasurer's report. In February, it's called upon us, all of us, to give a summary of the last year's activities, and I did just give a brief overview, just the essential elements in my mind for the end-of-year statement. The cash and savings at the end of 2024 were $207,000 in the bank, and certainly sufficient amounts for our operational checking account at Truist Bank. If you just take a look at how much we spent versus how much we took in without considering assets that we rolled over, we actually had 11.5K more that we took in than we spent. Interestingly, we exceeded our income budget by 31% over the past year, which is remarkable. Yes, yes. I'm all about that. Okay. Just don't break your arm patting yourself on the back. We got more to do in 2025. And as well, of course, I openly admit we inflate our budget, the expense side in terms of attempting to look forward and make sure that we have all options and opportunities and potential liabilities covered. And as it turns out, while we took over 31% of the income budget, we only spent 77% of the expense budget. Hey, anytime you can do that, it's good. So that's pretty much the summary that I have for 2024. And you voted the budget for 2025, and we are already fully engaged with that. Indeed, thanks to Wendy for doing all of the turnover and all of the work in January that's required. It's just not like flipping a switch, and she's gotten us fully incorporated into the 2025 budget. As of 31 January, we had 192K looking at the first month of the 2025 budget in the bank, and we're well positioned to carry on the approved budget for the year. Note the balance difference through January is 15K less, which shows the ebb and flow during any given months. And when he said, "Is that all you're going to say about that?" Well, and when we talk about having 30K in the checking account, and now we're talking about having in the teens, we did a lot of spending to begin us off in the new year. We gave money to our stewardship activities. We had cost for the new year as a part of the insurance. We had increased salaries and all sorts of other things like that. So, and we actually paid off some things that will really be seen in February. So that's the reason why we're a little low at the end of January of available operational funds. Reminding you that I have carried out 2 CDs. At the end of January, we had one that's a little over 75K in Truist Bank that'll be maturing the first week in April. We also had a $50,000 CD that matured actually on the 15th of February, which was yesterday. And I've already set it up so that 25,000 of that 50,000 CD will actually be rolled over into a new CD at the same rate of annual percentage yield of 4%. The other 25 is going into our checking account because we are looking forward to several activities, thanks to trustees and other activities like that, where we'll need that money. Luckily, I don't have to bet on the come. I don't have to play the float, which is a term for some people who've run businesses, that we have that money to proceed on into the spring. The big picture, as of 31 January, we had 15K in our operational checking and a ready reserve of 52K, not counting the CDs that we had available for expenditures as they come up. You'll see the financial status at the end of the year and also after 31 January in the 2 tables down at the bottom. You'll see the assets being let me just speak to 31 January, 15K in checking and 176,000 in I say savings. You know, if I use enough different terms, it'll totally discombobulate your mind and you'll be all confused. So, but the point is that we had the checking And then we had LCEF, which we have about $37,000 in that reserve checking account, plus the two CDs, and we had a money market account as of the end of the month in January of about $14,000. Okay, you'll see the income statement, the income versus expenses year-to-date through January and against the budget. You'll see that we're kind of like 6% on income and 7% on expenditures. January and February traditionally is a rather low time in terms of our giving that we see, and I encourage all of you to consider your time and efforts and talents and financial abilities to see to it that you can meet those opportunities as you are able. Are there any questions? Silence is golden.
Thanks,
Thank
Wayne.
you.
Thank you, Wayne. Pastor, you're up for the. Oh, okay.
Did we ever give money to hurricane, any of that?
Oh, yes. Are you going to speak?
Yes, I did. So, yeah, but no, it's fine. We can talk about it now.
We have really tried in 2024 to be absolutely committed to our stewardship giving. And we started off in 2025 doing the same thing.
Right.
Okay.
So last year, we gave money in support of Hurricane Helene recovery in North Carolina and Hurricane Helene and Milton recovery in Florida. Actually, I have a thank you card here, which I'm going to read a little bit later, from a family in Florida. Our monies were distributed through a Lutheran church down there, and they were able to perform some repairs on their home because of the money we were able to give them. So, and then in this year, we've given $10,000 out, which we try to do every quarter. 5 of that went to Charis Ministries. They can no longer cook meals at the prisons anymore. They have to have it catered. That's about $10,000 per weekend that they do. So we gave them 5 to go towards that. And then we were looking for a way to continue to support our neighbors and friends over in North Carolina from recovery from Hurricane Helene. We were going to do that through Samaritan's Purse, but there was no way going through Samaritan's Purse to ensure the money was going to go directly to the folks in the mountains over there. So we found another ministry. It's called Baptist on Ministry, and checked them out, vetted them. They looked great, so we sent $5,000 to them to continue with the rebuild over in the mountains. So, okay. All right, thank you. Pastor?
Good morning again. Again, that's right, yeah. Okay. I love our church. I really do. It's exciting to stand up here and talk about the activities. There's a lot of stuff that you don't see that actually happens behind the scenes, and so many of the willing hands and mouths and feet that you do the work, and I'm thankful for all of our volunteers, and you just lead the charge, and it just makes ministry fun. I wake up and think, what cool new things are we going to tackle today? You got my report in front of you, the state of the church. I just want to give a couple of highlights. Again, I'm running back and forth from confirmation to here, so before the room gets wild without my attention. At the bottom there, we began, and this is a product of, God gives you something, and then what do you do with it, right? And if you don't have something in place, well, you got to run, right? And if you don't run with it, you miss the opportunity. So what we've done is, we've seen a kind of an influx with college kids, and we've always kind of wanted this. The door's been opened, and we've seen three, I think, regular college students. There's two others that came, and they kind of trickle in and out. So we're like, what can we do to support them? There was a Air Force Academy cadet sponsor program that when I was out there for 10 years, it's fantastic. They provided a home for the cadets, a home away from home, and a place to relax, a place to be themselves, and for just families to love on these so-called kids who are cadets, and they're going through a very rigorous physical and mental battle for 4 years as they go through the academy. And I'm like, well, that's a cool way to love on students, and can we use maybe some of those things here? So we've kind of just meshed this thing together and called it a college sponsorship program, and as they show up, we just simply love on them. Carol Schweikert has agreed to kind of lead the charge, and she's a natural at it. She was already doing it. I just said, Carol, why don't you just officially take the helm? And she has. So we've come up with some pretty cool practical ways. Think of your day if you went to college. What would you want somebody to do for you? And sometimes it's just a note. Sometimes it's just, a hello. Hey, how'd the finals go? Here's some candy, those kind of things. But it's grown into the college students have asked, hey, can we have a space after church? What is that? You have not been clobbering the kids, I know that, the students. So what we want to do is we want to provide the space for them in one of these rooms. They actually have asked, hey, is there someone who might want to lead a Bible study with us? So these little kind of investments, we're beginning to tease out into practical ways of supporting these students. So we're happy to do that. We're happy with all the sponsors who are helping out and providing love for these students. So that's going on that we're really excited about. The other thing I wanted to talk about was on the backside. We're extending our Be Rich team. And, this is something that really is an exciting opportunity. Again, Be Rich is all about endearing our community, and that's part of our strategy. We want to make sure that, if Messiah Lutheran Church was to go away, not that I wish it ever to go away, but if it would ever disappear, would anybody ever notice? I ask those kind of questions all the time. You might think, well, that's doom and gloom, but I think it points us to, are we making a difference? If Jesus was here this morning, what would he say? What would he do? Would he say, okay, you're not doing it right, you should be out there instead of in buildings? So those kind of questions lead us to, how are we going to endear our community? How are we going to let them know we're here and leave them better off because we're here? And that goes into giving of our time and giving our talents. Every year we push, we give a lot of money to organizations, we serve a lot, but then it kind of just, and there's no real push beyond that. What we want to do, and 7 of these people have come forward. I think it's 7, or is it 6? But volunteers have said, hey, we want to be a part of a team that goes out and vets organizations, kind of, David, what you were talking about. Hey, did we give money to? So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we've got a handful of organizations that we've already done the homework with. We've gone out, we've possibly looked at, do they get a good grade regarding their financials? Because we're not going to give financials to people that don't manage their finances well. Okay, just sorry, we don't want to do that. We want people to steward it to a very good purpose. So what do they do? What's their mission? What's their purpose? We want to vet those organizations, have them ready, and then this team is going to take that the next step, and we're going to recommend, hey, you give this amount of money, but along that lines, hey, we could also serve here. Maybe it's a new nonprofit organization that came up. Hey, we can serve here. Is anybody interested in serving in this way? And we put it out to the congregation. That's kind of like a second step. And then finally, the third step is once an organization has been either given monetarily or served, this is the piece that I'm sorry I've failed to do. We need to tell the story. David, you would not have had to ask that question if we would have told the story. And my apologies for that, because that's my failure, to tell you how we've impacted our community, how the residents over there, and I just came from that area, south of Boone, how are they doing? Where did the money go toward? You've got a part of that story with this, thank you, okay? But we need to tell you that. And you can then come to church every morning going, you know what? It's not just a Sunday morning thing. It's a hands, a heart, a wallet, and it works. And I'm doing God's mission, and I'm a part of it. So we want to be able to do that, and we're going to do a better job of it. So, okay, I've talked enough. If you have any questions, please email me or call me. I'm at the ready. Can meet with you if you want. But thank you, and invite somebody for chili next week. All right.
Okay, thanks, Pastor. Okay, next up is the elders report. Bill, do you have anything to share this week?
Thanks, Mark. You know, as a pastor spoke, it reminds me that we are really one big family, and everything's kind of meshed together and intertwined in one way or another within the families. And one of the endeavors that we continue to strive toward here through our elder board is to make sure that we're covering the needs of all the congregation with regard to prayer support and various aspects of spiritual support that all the members of our congregation might need from time to time. And that, at some point or another, that probably includes all of us. So I wanted to just kind of review just real quickly here what that looks like here at Messiah, especially for any of the new people. We have 8 elders or care leaders, kind of use those terms interchangeably, that are here at Messiah, and I'm the head elder. We have 7 others. I give you the names here real quickly, just as a way of review. Most of you know that, but Matt Papich is on that list. Both Fred and Karen Spike are elders or care leaders. Mari French, Katie Berthalter, Al or Todd Membeck, and Harley Hammond. Now, at some point, what we do is that we get together and put together what we call a care group list. So each of us has a number of families and individuals within the congregation that we personally look after, care for, stay in touch with. To the broader extent, we're involved in the whole congregation, but we want to make sure nothing slips through the cracks there. So at our regular board meetings, we review what those prayer needs are with one another and so on. And when that assignment was made sometime in the past, you would have received a contact card in your mailbox that had that information and even a picture of your elder. And that would be that person that you would normally go to first, and or pastor, regarding those needs for prayer or other spiritual care. So we want to alert you to that, so that if you're not sure who that is, or it's been a while since you've looked at that, Wendy Smith would be glad to get a call from you, and she can look that up and say, this is your care leader, and have that contact information available for you. We just want to make sure that you feel open to the care that we want to provide, and that everyone in the congregation would feel comfortable coming to their care leaders, any of us actually. And when those things happen from time to time, we want to be there to support that need. But also, if you have questions about various things within the congregation, or feedback that you might want to give any of the care leaders, that we could take on to the council or other leaders in the church, please let us know that as well. I'll have a little more information, more specifics at our May meeting regarding our elder board, but I think for today that should wrap it up. Thanks, Mark.
Okay, any questions for Bill? All right, thank you, Bill. And next up is trustees report. Rob? Show off.
It's all that lovely fruit we had. Got me going this morning. Good to be here. Wanted to give you a few things. I don't have a written report because I was just going to speak it to you, so save on paper. Update on the tropical storm that was unplanned, untracked, unnamed, that hit September 16th, the day after my wife's birthday, a day that will live in infamy. So I consulted with several civil engineers about our drainage. We had a slight drainage issue, just to retrace our steps here a little bit. Some water infiltrated into the spaces, mostly in this corner up here. Got the carpet kind of wet. And that's happened a few times, but this time it happened to be over here. So this gentleman I talked to, Phil Tripp, took a look at the situation, and the good news is I think we can solve it ourselves with a little sweat equity, a little volunteer work. Basically, he suggested that the building's been here over 50 years, pretty close to 60, 68 I think is when it was built. Dave was here at the time, and some others, and his mother. And we really haven't had too many issues over time. So his point to me was, if you survived 50 plus years of not having serious flooding going on, or what flooding we did have we've addressed, maybe we don't need to worry too much about spending a lot of money on this. So that is good. So basically, he suggested removing the mulch along this side of the east side of the building. He also suggested digging the dirt out and putting some gravel in to help further any kind of drainage that might get into that area with massive storms like we had on the 16th. So that's the next step. We'll do that. We probably won't have landscape beds there, but we'll have some pretty landscape rocks and things like that to make it look nice. And the other thing he suggested is to check our brick wall. Should have weep holes in the bottom, which allows any water that gets behind the wall to drain and actually exit. So I think what might have happened is, if you look at that wall, there's some sealant that was applied a few years ago. And I'm not even sure if there are weep holes there. I looked, I couldn't find any. We found some on this wall, which is good, but on this wall I didn't see any. So we may need to address that. So if water does get behind the brick, which it can do, it'll breathe and it'll exit. It'll be a natural way for that to exit and not get into the building. So those are some things. That's not going to cost a lot. It's just going to, like I said, some sweat equity. We'll also just make sure our downspouts are not obstructed, and the underground drainage pipes that those feed into, make sure that those aren't, obstructed and that those are working. Next topic was the Fellowship Hall refresh, I call it. It's a refresh, not a remodel per se, but we'll pretty up the place, as they would say back in Indiana. The first step will be this back corner with the bathrooms. So we're going to start on that in a couple weeks. There'll be some things going on that you probably won't notice, but eventually we'll get the comfort height toilets. And as you get older, which I am getting older, I've realized not all toilets are created the same. And so the comfort height toilets are pretty much put in every new home built today. It's pretty much a standard thing. So we're getting used to that. Refresh of the flooring, the paint, the stall walls, and the lighting a little bit. And then there's some future phases that'll be planned out here that we have some preliminary thoughts about what to do, but stay tuned. There'll be some exciting news coming about that. So, and the last point is, all this sweat equity, I need help. So anyone who would like to donate their time, skills, God's talents that they've been blessed with, we sure could use help with that. So stay tuned. Last, I want to give some thanks here. First, Richard Hollenbeek, I call him Paul Bunyan. He's a very tall gentleman in the back. He's got the blue ox next to him. He took down a tree that was at least 60 foot, a dead tree that was standing out here, and just any kind of a storm that would come through, like today. The little wind coming through, we have cars parked out there, we could have had some damage to vehicles as that thing eventually would have found its way to the ground. But thank you, Richard, for that. He did that himself. You did have help, right? Yeah, yeah. But that was a huge tree, so thank you. Then Dave Ernst, you may have noticed, maybe not, but some of the rooms along this side here, we've replaced lighting in there. There was some bad fluorescent ballast that we looked at the cost to replace the ballast and go with existing fluorescent lighting, and it was just cost effective to go ahead with the 25-year fluorescent tubes that won't burn out and the ballast that we don't have to worry about too. So those rooms are very bright. And on a day like today, you probably don't even need to turn the lights on, but when you do, it's very noticeable, and the kitchen as well. So kitchen's a lot brighter too. And then we had a little project going on, last but not least, in our new building. We had a attic stairway that I tried to go up 3 steps and quickly descended because it was pretty shaky, and the ladder potentially could have been repaired, but we decided to go. We have vendors that go up there to work on some of our infrastructure, and I was a little worried about somebody getting injured on it if it did break. So we did have that replaced. So Dave Ernst again helped with that. Keith McKenzie, Dave Weichel, and those guys did a great job getting that done so we can actually use our attic. And next step is get up there and clean house. So we need to do that. So thank you. So all that is being done with thanks to all those gentlemen and ladies who have helped us, and that's it. Any questions? Yeah, there's plenty to do.
Thanks, Rob.
See me if you have any skills you want to offer up to our assistance. Thank you.
So just to tie a couple of things together, then you heard Wynn talk about the fact that we converted a $50,000 CD to a $25,000 CD and moved that other $25,000 into our cash account so that we have access to it readily. And this is why. We're getting to that point where we're close to the work that we need to do to refresh this building, and we need to make sure that we've got some money on hand to be able to do that while still being able to operate, go through our normal operating expenses. The other thing that I want to kind of help make sure everybody understands is why we're trying to do this with sweat equity versus just hiring someone. We do have money set aside, right? We've got $30-some thousand, for instance, set aside for this building. The first estimate we got on from a contractor for just fixing the 2 bathrooms was $40,000. So we don't even have enough. We think we have a lot of money, and we do. I mean, that's a lot of money, but it wouldn't even hardly get us started. So we're going to refresh what we have. We need a lot of help. It'll be a lot of fun. I know we'll enjoy doing it. We all get together. We've got some great talent and skills and experiences in this congregation that are going to be able to help us with the harder stuff like the plumbing and any tear down or construction that we might do in later phases, whatever that looks like. But I just encourage all of you to think about it, and if there's some way you can support, let Rob know. So, all right. Carol, Fellowship Committee.
Watch the cords flat. There we go. I'm short. It's right at our forehead eye level. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna cover the lesser important, if that's not the right term, but anyway, the things that are going to be easy to get knocked off. The yard sale is official. It's going to be Saturday, March 22nd. I was lucky enough to get a hold of the lady that schedules at the, what is it now, Coastline Cape Fear Rescue. They used to be called the Gospel Rescue Mission, and apparently that didn't fly in the neighborhood it was located in. So they've changed it to the Cape Fear Rescue Mission. I love these people. The same little guy's been driving the truck for probably the last 10 or 15 years. But they have their halfway house. They deal with recovering addicts and alcoholics. And the guys that come on the truck are just as sweet as they can be. All we have to do is whatever's left over, we can box up, bag up, and put it on the sidewalk. They're not supposed to actually come into the building. So we put it on the sidewalk. So since the art sale's on a Saturday, that probably, sorry, COVID took my voice a long time ago. So the 22nd, well, I'm going to have to work with Missy over Bible study with that. If we can, we'll start taking donations come Monday or Tuesday. I tend to be up here during the daytime hours because it doesn't leave me or anyone else comfortable to leave the doors unlocked if there's no one here. Typically during the week, no one is here. Timothy works from home, and Wendy, bless her heart, she comes in twice a week for a couple long hours. But I just don't want strangers walking in and plundering. They might take all of our treasures. So it will be posted, the hours that are open. Some will be morning hours, some will be afternoon hours. I've tried doing evening hours every year, and Dave and I sit up here for about 3 hours, not one person shows up. So it's like, if you work till 6 o'clock, I'm sorry, you better figure out how to get here during the day. Anyway, and the money raised from the art sale goes directly into the Fellowship Hall Renovation Fund, which is my baby. I've been raising money for this baby for about 25, 30 years. That baby's growing up. So anyway, mark your calendars, March 22nd. Okay? The next thing I'd like to address is our coffee hour. I'm impressed. I'm very impressed. The number of people coming every week just kind of grows and grows. We've got a nice variety of people, young people, old people. Sometimes the kids pop in if they can get to the food table first. So I want to thank everybody that brings things for us to eat. We're always well fed, which is nice because I go home and I don't have to worry about making lunch for anybody. And Cecilia is, I don't know what we would do without this lady. She does all the coffee. Yes. Okay. With that being said, yes, Cecilia is a one-person wonder. But let's face it, if everybody in here would just get up and walk out the door and go home, which has happened sometimes, what is the problem we have? Okay, number one, it's little things. And, I tried a sign-up sheet. Nobody likes sign-up sheets, so they don't sign up. But Cecilia gets busy in the kitchen. She's washing and drying dishes. She's cleaning the coffee pots. We need someone that would volunteer that when it doesn't even have to be everyone gone. The tabletops have to be disinfected every day, every week. That's a matter of taking I don't know what brand we have now. We got a spray cleaner. When I did it, I would spray it on the table and then wipe it dry. But Karen's spiking for me. That's not good for this type of table. The chemicals if some of them are really rough on top, the best thing for us to do is spray the cleaning rag and then wipe the table with it. It won't be as wet. So we need to have the tables cleaned and obviously the chairs pushed under. Someone to vacuum the carpet. Some Sundays, all you have to do is pick up the crumbs. And other days, it looks like there was a bunch of 4-year-olds having lunch in here. So I just want to take the burden off, and she would hit me for saying burden. But I want to lighten her load. So no sign-up sheets, nothing. And if you don't have anything to do one day, it's raining. Who's going to go home right now? Stay and wipe the table for me. That's fine. But anyway, I just want to throw that out there for everybody. So now, drum roll. As I whispered to Wendy before my name was called, during the service, every time Pastor Timothy would say, yes, the chili cook-off, invite a friend, bring a neighbor. I leaned over to my husband and I said, oh, Lord, no, don't bring any more people. Last year we were at max. If I remember correctly, we were somewhere between 70 and 80 people in this room. I mean, consider the whole front half is taken up by the table and the chili and the servers. And it's not really very easy to stand in the corner and eat a little cup of chili. So, yes, I'm only joking. You can bring somebody. But we also need volunteers. And Timothy doesn't like sign-up sheets, and I don't like iPads. So we kind of clash when it's time for getting lists for volunteers. If you want to, you can text me, you can email me, you can grab me before we go home. Just to volunteer, hey, I can hang around. I'll help clean up, or I'll help do something. And FYI, anytime we have food around here, if there's leftovers, we didn't have much leftover chili last year, but if the cooks are willing, we can put the leftovers in containers, and we always bless our firefighters with the food that we don't eat. And they just get really happy when they see Messiah people walking up their driveway. So anyway, if you can help in any way, just shoot me a line, grab me before I go home. The way I'm thinking about it, and Wendy put the bug in my ear, she's thinking, you might get about 80 or 90 people. So might be close quarters, but we're going to have a good time. So about that, I think that's all I have to say. So see you next Sunday. See you. Come in your cookout. Wear old clothes, so if you slop chili, you won't ruin a good shirt. Okay, thank you.
All right, any questions for Carol? All right, thank you, Carol. Pam, do you have a guest services report? That's probably about the right place.
All right, good morning. As always, I have to start out with that I'm very grateful for our guest services team, and I'm also grateful for our congregation for welcoming and connecting with our guests. And I already spoke to Wynn about what a good job he did this morning. We had a nice young man that sat in their pew, and before I even could get over there to say hi to him, Wynn was introducing himself, and that just makes such a big difference. It just really makes our church seem like a family and like we really connect. We'll take time to listen to people's stories and get to know them. Just to let you know, oftentimes the people that are coming, that are visiting, are looking specifically for a Lutheran church. But some other reasons that we've heard recently were we're seeking a Bible-based church, or I was looking for a smaller church. And so I think those are really important things to know. And a lot of our guests have watched a worship service online before they come also, and then they, before they attend in person. We're very glad to have Missy and Mark Rosine returning to our guest services team as for the information center as an usher. I think that our transition to the electronic pads, they're not officially iPads, but I think that that's working rather well. And if you are a little bit cautious about technology, our information center person is always ready to help you with that. They'll even type for you. Some of the sign-ups on there, though, just so you know, we have the connections for our first-time visitors. You can sign up for flower donations. I think we've taken the midweek Bible study off, but that was on there earlier. If you're interested in being a new member, or if you'd like to be on the mailing list, and as soon as these forms are submitted, then Wendy Smith in the office gets a notification. And also that this page is available on online, so if you ever want to sign up at home, you're welcome to. Another interesting thing that pastors added is a plan your visit link. And it's for first-time visitors, and it alerts the office and Wendy Elliott and Carol Schweikert and I by email about the visitor that's coming. And it was really helpful in December when Amy was planning to attend, and she let us know she had a walker, so we were able to make a special plan for her. Our guest services team did have a team meeting after the worship service, on January 26th. We always talk about what's working well, and our focus also was on emergency, including medical, and safety procedures. We discussed the idea of practicing an emergency drill at the end of a worship service, and so we're going to work with the leadership to plan that. Then the ushers, the connectors, and the information center teams all had an opportunity to meet separately and cover specific things for their mission. Today, we were really excited to share that baby blessing basket for Christina and Ryan Smith. And I'll make a special delivery to them this week to share that. I always have to have a lot of kudos, lots of great people on our team to thank. Wendy Elliott and Carol Schweikert for their leadership of their teams and the way they support me. Pastor for his technology expertise and his willingness to make tweaks so things go smoothly with those pads. Wendy Elliott for those beautiful handmade Christmas ornaments that she created for us to share on Christmas Eve. And AJ and Sarah Vitt and their family for setting out the luminaries on Christmas Eve. And they had to do some extra engineering to keep them standing in the rain. Harley made a parking plan and put up some signs there to help us with that. And of course, I want to say, thank all of you who share God's love with our guests as you listen to their stories and you help welcome them to our Messiah family. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Any questions? Yes, so an AED device was donated to the church. It has been put up. The next thing we're looking at is establishing a training date. So my approach to that right now is reaching out to guest services to decide which of people in guest services would like to be part of that training, and what date would be good for them. We'll come up with a date, I'm hoping within the next few weeks or month. The individual who donated, which is Karen and Al's son-in-law, right? Ryan, is going to do the training for free. And so we'll let the congregation know what that date is as well. It'll probably take about an hour, hour and a half maybe. And then we'll probably have additional training. I don't want to take advantage of Brian. So there are resources from the fire department that will do it for free as well. So we may set up some type of training on an annual basis or something like that with the fire department so that we can use it. So there are some people in the congregation who know how to use it already. We did learn that we should probably have a blood pressure cup and an oxygen monitor for your finger and a stethoscope in the church. The blood pressure cup and the oxygen monitor have been donated, correct? So we're going to go out and buy a stethoscope.
Where are they going to put it in the church?
So it's up already. So it's,
Oh,
yeah, it's in that open closet next to the fire extinguisher. The AED sign's right above that.
Okay.
For now, we're considering if that's exactly the right place for it or not, but anyway, that's where it is for now, so we'll see where we're at. Okay, did that answer your question? Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, the next thing is old business. The only thing I had on here was the fellowship hall refresh, which Rob has spoken about already. So does anybody have any other old business you'd like to discuss? Okay. And on new business, we received this card in the mail, and I don't know what to do with the envelope, but it is from Edward and Carla Norris, and they live in near Tampa, in that area where both hurricanes Milton and Helene came through. We donated money to a Lutheran LCMS church there in that community. I can't remember exactly. We sent $5,000 down there, I think, to that church, and another $5,000 to Samaritan's Purse and for supporting the mountains. They were able to be blessed by that money, so I want to read you this card. Dear wonderful members of Messiah Lutheran Church, thank you so very much for your support after Hurricanes Helene and Milton. We had damage to our home, including a front porch completely ripped off. With your generosity, we were able to repair it. God bless you for your work in God's plan on earth. We appreciate your help so much. In Jesus' name, Edward and Carla Norris. So good job. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you to God for giving us that opportunity. And we continue in those efforts. As I said, we've given the money out and dispersed the money for the first quarter already, and we're looking forward to continuing to work with Be Rich and the Be Rich team on recommendations going forward for the year. So, any other new business? All right, so before we adjourn, Carol's still here? After we adjourn, would you be willing to lead us in song? All right, so do I have a motion to adjourn? We got a motion to adjourn, a second? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? All right, Carol? God from whom all blessings flow, praise him, all creatures here below. Praise him above the heavenly host. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Amen. All right. Thank you. Have a great week. The rain has let up a little bit, but it's still kind of heavy, so.